Hey, my friends! Have you ever wondered how to know if an idea is good or not? Or wondered what you should do with your life? Or maybe even received some advice and wanted to know if it was good advice or bad advice? Or even now, have you seen social trends and new fads and new phases and new social ideas, and you're wondering, is this going to be good for society and for me and for my life, for my family? You see what I'm saying? We're presented every day with tons of ideas, and now the internet is just presenting new ideas every single day. And we all know that not all ideas are good ones, my friends. But how do you know which ones are the best and which ones should be avoided? And I get this all the time. And as I'm mentoring and coaching and leading and speaking, I'm all over the world, right? I'm just coming across all kinds of ideas. And people saying, oh, well, you should do this, or you should do that. Or no, never do that, and always do this. And there's so many voices and so many distractions. And so for youth and adults, we're all sitting there in this whirlwind of ideas going, man, how do I know which ideas are the best ideas and which ones should be avoided? And I've come up with this simple strategy that has worked like a champ. Ready? And it's not about me, because you got to test my ideas too. I'm out here sharing ideas every day. You got to test my ideas. And people, I've received advice from people that I love and trust that just ended up not being very good. And so I'm like, how do I come up with this formula that is just rock solid, that I can measure my ideas against it, right? Or measure society's ideas, or I come across something in a book, I come across something in a movie, on a podcast, on a blog, wherever I come across something and say, well, how do I know? How do I measure this and see where it fits on the scale between ridiculous and stupid to awesome sauce, right? And where does it fit in that whole scale? And here's what I've come down to myself. It has to do with measuring it against the best thinkers of all time. Man, it's starting to rain like crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But you measure it against the best thinkers of all time. And so you take your idea, you take this social trend, you take this new societal expectation or whatever you come across and say, what do the great thinkers say about this, right? And I love this because you go to the greatest minds of all time, and you access these great books, and you say, what would they do? And I have chosen mentors that I've chosen throughout history, and I specifically will think and ask, what would that particular person do? Now, here's how this works, you guys. You gotta read. I hope you weren't ever thinking that I wasn't gonna tell you gotta read. You've got to read. In fact, the most uber successful people on earth are voracious readers, right? Leaders are readers. And it's actually, the fancy word for it is bibliotherapy. It's like this self-therapy we get from books. It's just teaching us and guiding us. And so you got to read from the best books. And we're reading the great classics, right? The great classic literature, and learning how to read a book. And I've got all kinds of videos on that, all kinds of trainings on that. But you're reading out of the best books, and you're reading them often, and you're pursuing what's called a liberal arts education. And it has nothing to do with the modern term liberals. But in liberal arts, it's about freedom. It's about studying free thinking and the greatest thinkers throughout history. And that has to include great religious texts and great philosophy and great historical books and great fictional books, right? The best books. And I have got a huge book list, if you want it, you guys, of books I've read. And I've averaged, for about 2 decades, I averaged about a book a week. And so I'm reading these great books. Now you're like, man, come on, Greg, I have an idea. I gotta measure against. I don't have time for the next 20 years to be reading all these books, right? And what you can do is you can turn to the great solid classics, the best of the best, the books that you know and love, and turn to those, and just you read a little bit, just even a little bit. This is what's so cool about this strategy. You read even just a little bit of it, And you can know pretty fairly well, like, all right, like what that person would think about it. You with me? So some of my all-time favorites are Theodore Roosevelt Jr., James Allen, Jesus. I've read the Bhagavad Gita. I really like that one, the Dhammapada. I've read the Tao Te Ching. And I mean, I could go on and on and on here, but like you just read the great classic books, the best of the best, and then thinkers that, you know, in our day and age, but who are, look for the people that are living just rock solid lives all around holistically, not just one area, right? Because sometimes we'll look at them like, well, they're super famous, but their life might be in shambles, right? Or, oh, they're crazy rich. Wow, they've been so financially successful, but they're just completely spiritually bankrupt. And so find the people that are living holistically really, really well. People that you admire and respect and want to emulate, right? People you want to pattern your life after. Find them, read what they're teaching, what they're saying, and measure the ideas against the great thinkers. Take an idea and read a great book with that idea in mind. And just pick it apart. And it's amazing. It's so incredible. It's helped me. It's helped thousands, probably millions of people. You just read these great books and these great ideas and the great thinkers, and you go, yep, okay. I can see that maybe even if it's a really popular idea, and even if society, you know, or a particular community is just like, yeah, this is it, and they're just running for it, you can step back and go, wait a minute. Whoa, the great historians and the great thinkers, they didn't see it that way, and they warned us against it. And that's how we can learn wisdom, my friends, and know which ideas are valuable and which trends and what advice and where it fits as we measure it against the great thinkers. So spend a lot of time reading, dive into the great books. If you have an idea, a path, a life purpose, like something you want to consider that's really important in your life, take that before you just like take it and throw it out, or take it and like swallow it all the way. Measure it against a great book. Get into a great book and say, what is this? What's the lesson here on this particular thing in this book? And I promise it'll make a gigantic difference in your life, help you be wise and make fantastic decisions, which is what's going to be the determining factor for all of us in our lives. You guys remember, awesome is always an option. Reach upward.